It started as a quiet Sunday jog, but unraveled into a story that would shake America's justice system. This is not just the story of Ahmad Arbery's murder. It's the story of the systemic failures that allowed it to happen, and nearly allowed it to disappear. On February 23, 2020, 25-year-old Ahmad Arbery left his mother's house in Brunswick, Georgia for a run through Satilla Shores, a neighborhood where he often trained as a former high school football star. To friends and family, it was routine. But that routine run would collide with a dangerous belief system. Greg McMichael, a retired investigator with 30 years of law enforcement experience, much of it working with the Glynn County District Attorney's Office, saw Ahmad running past his home. His son, Travis McMichael, grabbed his shotgun. Together, they pursued Ahmad in their pickup truck, armed, determined, and self-appointed as enforcers. Minutes later, neighbor William Roddy Bryan joined in his own vehicle, filming the chase from behind. The three men boxed Ahmad in. Bryan's footage would become central to the case, capturing Ahmad trapped on a narrow road as the McMichaels exited their truck. Travis leveled his shotgun. Ahmad struggled to avoid the confrontation, attempting to dodge the gun. In a matter of seconds, 3 close-range blasts tore through him. The young man collapsed face down on the asphalt, his life stolen in full daylight. Police arrived quickly, but no arrests were made. The McMichaels invoked Georgia's citizen's arrest statute, claiming Ahmad resembled a suspect in local break-ins, and they were attempting to detain him. Greg McMichael's long-standing connections shielded him from immediate accountability. The responding officers deferred to his former role in law enforcement. District Attorney Jackie Johnson, Greg's former boss, recused herself, but directed officers to allow the McMichaels to return home that day. A second DA, George Barnhill, later echoed that justification, citing self-defense, and advised against prosecution. For 74 days, no charges were filed. The local system, from police to prosecutors, stood silent as Ahmad's family mourned. But the system's quiet began to fracture when Bryan's video leaked on May 5, 2020. The footage went viral, provoking national outrage. Protests erupted across Georgia and the country, tapping into growing frustrations over racial injustice and police misconduct. Activists labeled the killing a modern-day lynching, enabled by outdated laws and local corruption. Faced with public fury, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, took control, arresting the McMichaels and Bryan within days of the video's release. But the arrest only opened new questions about how 2 months of inaction were allowed. Behind closed doors, investigators unearthed internal communications revealing DA Jackie Johnson's direct interference. She allegedly instructed police not to arrest Greg McMichael on the day of the shooting, and personally advocated for Barnhill's appointment to oversee the case. National media swarmed the story, spotlighting long-overlooked patterns of prosecutor conflicts, unchecked DA powers, and racially biased law enforcement cultures entrenched across southern states. Georgia's citizens' arrest law, dating back to slavery-era legislation, became a lightning rod. Legislators fast-tracked its repeal. Simultaneously, the state passed Georgia's first modern hate crime statute, a law notably absent when Ahmad was first killed. Activists argued that without the video leak, those reforms may have never been enacted. As the case progressed, troubling evidence surfaced, including text messages where Travis McMichael used racial slurs and expressed deep animus toward black people. Prosecutors built a narrative of not just vigilante violence, but premeditated racial aggression emboldened by systemic privilege. The state trial began in November 2021, under the national spotlight. The jury selection itself drew controversy, with 11 white jurors and just 1 black juror impaneled in a county with substantial black population. During trial testimony, the defense doubled down on self-defense claims, arguing that Ahmad posed a threat by allegedly reaching for Travis's shotgun. But prosecutors dismantled that narrative, framing the entire pursuit as an unlawful armed ambush. The prosecution highlighted the reckless nature of the chase, The lack of any direct evidence linking Ahmad to criminal activity that day, and the overwhelming power imbalance between a lone jogger and armed pursuers. On November 24, 2021, the jury delivered its verdict. Guilty on all counts for both McMichaels and Bryan. Murder convictions were handed down and life sentences followed. But the legal battle didn't end there. Federal prosecutors launched a separate hate crimes case, bringing forward additional evidence of racial animus and conspiracy. Travis's social media history revealed years of racist posts. Greg's career included troubling disciplinary actions, including prior failures to disclose use of force incidents while working in law enforcement. In February 2022, a federal jury convicted all 3 men of federal hate crimes. These convictions layered additional decades onto their state prison terms, ensuring none of the men would ever walk free again. But the broader system remained on trial. Legal experts began scrutinizing the unchecked powers district attorneys wield across many states, arguing that systemic failures allowed prosecutorial misconduct to fester beneath public scrutiny for years. The DA's office, long treated as an unassailable pillar of local law enforcement, faced rare scrutiny. In September 2021, former DA Jackie Johnson was indicted, charged with obstruction of justice and violating her oath of office. Her indictment marked an unprecedented moment of accountability, rarely seen in American legal history. A sitting, or former DA, facing criminal prosecution for protecting personal associates. Johnson's trial is scheduled for 2025. Ahmad Arbery's death catalyzed more than criminal trials. His name joined a painful national roster, alongside George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless others in conversations about race, policing, and justice. I Run with Maud became a rallying cry worldwide, transforming into an annual day of remembrance on February 23rd, now officially designated Ahmad Arbery Day in Georgia. Civil rights attorneys argue the case represents a blueprint for future reforms, limiting unchecked prosecutor discretion, strengthening oversight boards, and demanding independent review structures when police and DA offices intertwine. The Arbery case exposed how prosecutorial gatekeeping, when unmonitored, can derail justice before trials ever begin. It illuminated how racial bias and insider privilege intertwine, shielding misconduct until external exposure forces action. Families like the Arbery's continue advocating for sweeping reforms, including federal legislation that would mandate independent state watchdogs to monitor DA conduct and national transparency standards for citizens' arrest statutes. Yet as of today, those reforms remain incomplete. Jackie Johnson awaits trial, and across the country, questions persist about how many similar cases never make headlines, silenced long before justice has any chance to intervene. One jog, 3 killers, multiple agencies complicit, and a legal system exposed. This is Vaulted Crimes. Real stories, real consequences,